It's Black History Month.
Hello, my name is Odessa Esco. Happy Black History Month and welcome to part 12. This is the part where I talk about my radicalization. Unlawful, inhumane, most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life, George Floyd and his murder. He was crushed to death by a white man's knee, like choked to death, suffocated by somebody kneeling on them for minutes. For minutes. People are around them saying, hey, you're killing them. He's saying, you're killing me. This white, honestly, let me stop. This man is just, let me just take a breath. The officer had no remorse, had no human emotions that he could direct towards this black man who was being questioned, not even guilty of any crime. Again, there is no justification for how this happened. There is no why that will ever justify kneeling on someone's neck until they die in front of groups of people. There's another officer protecting him. And this is when I realized the institution of police is inherently racist. If you don't know the history of police officers, they started off as like sheriffs and deputies in small towns, and they were slave catchers in the Americas, at least. They would help bring back runaway slaves. And of course, over time it developed into police force and protecting everybody, but it's still a really, really racist, corrupt group of people. A lot of times police officers are committing crimes and worse actions than the everyday citizen, and they're protected behind the badge. When this happened, there was so much to analyze about the situation. The person who called the police on George Floyd, they thought they had given him a counterfeit bill. It wasn't counterfeit. The police officers that showed up, one was a white person, one was a non-white person. And the non-white person, police officer, was making sure the white police officer could keep his knee on George Floyd's neck, because that is police work. George Floyd is a large black man, and this goes to show how deadly unjust fear is. There is a blatant fear of black people in the Americas, as if black people did what white people have done to them. There's no history of black people systemically torturing and mass enslaving white people. But a lot of white people are scared of black people. Black men are murderers, black men are rapists, black women are promiscuous and loud and ignorant, black people are stupid. There's so many awful stereotypes that lead to fear. And this moment really showed how dangerous it is. A police officer with a gun is so scared of the man's size and the color of his skin, he felt, in order to protect myself, I have to kneel on his neck. That's not an authorized police hold. It never will be. There are trained people there. There was, I believe, like somebody who had done like martial arts or something, and he was saying like, hey, don't do that. That's not good. There are lots of people telling this police officer, stop doing what you're doing. And the pride and the privilege of his badge, of his Caucasianness, allowed him to murder somebody in broad daylight. As you can tell by how passionately I'm recounting this event, this was the moment I was radicalized. There had been racial moments I've experienced myself and witnessed. I've heard about Rodney King and the beating of Rodney King by police officers. I know police brutality is not new, but this was my generation's Rodney King. To see it, to hear about it is one thing, to see it is another. And I'm at the age where I was old enough to relate what he was doing to all the social and systemic things happening in the world. I understood that the position Floyd was put in, He was put in before he ever woke up that morning, before he was even born. The systems in place are to justify things like this at the moment. This is when I realized not only are white ignorant people to blame, not just racist people, but black people and melanated people are also to blame in these moments, because these moments are made before they happen. And I say that to mean that there is the idea that I once had too, that, we're at an okay state in this world. Black people have freedoms and rights. And in that moment, I realized, no, we don't. We don't have any freedom. We don't have any freedom. In this moment, I felt a lot of anger. That was the first emotion I felt. I was so angry at everything in the world. I imagined my brothers, my loved ones who are black, being in these situations and realizing how vulnerable we are. We are not safe. Police are not here to help us. Not the individuals. There are some good police officers, but the system is not for us. Police officers are here for the rich and the wealthy, and at the very least, the white. This is my experience in the Americas. Of course, I've had experience with police officers in my small town and stereotypes and such all around the world. I think it's important to note that America has a larger viewpoint of racism just because of the history, but all of us have experienced racism around the world and engaging in white spaces. Every non-white person I've ever spoken to has had a racial moment of racism put onto them from a white person or a white system or structure. And I'm talking everybody. When I've been to Mexico, if I've gone to Turkey, everybody. So in this moment, I just felt angry. I was feeling like we all have this experience. We all know what's wrong, but it feels like we're not doing anything. Or at least personally, I'm not doing enough. In that moment, I realized that this fight for freedom, the black fight for freedom, is an active fight. It hasn't ended. No matter how many laws have been passed, no matter how many black presidents or people we have in, high-standing systems, like there are black police officers and black mayors, none of that matters, because at the end of the day, the thoughts of a lot of people have not changed that much. There are lots of people who have really big racial and racist thoughts still and are not thinking that black and brown people are deserving of certain freedoms. They might resent them if they have more money than them. Oh, why would they don't deserve it. There are so many people like that. I know it's not about your race, it's about how you think. And that's the main point. Like, white supremacy is a thought. It's not something white people are born with or have. Anyone can have it. That's why I experienced some from other black people, honestly. In this moment, after George Floyd was murdered and the protests that took place, I went to protests, I marched in Canada, I felt empowered. So I went from being angry, really, really angry, to feeling really, really empowered and really energized, and understanding that, hey, this is now. We have to address what's happening around us in regards to the past and the future. We have to accept that the world hasn't changed. It's changing, and we want it to change more. This was the moment I was radicalized, and I continue to do work that helps the black community and others see each other as equals and embrace each other's differences for the beautiful reality that it is. It's cool to be different. It's nice that we're not all the same, but it would be nice if we could all be treated how we want to be. People require different things, different races, different cultures, different nationalities, want different things to be valued and respected, and that's okay. But we should all agree that we deserve those things within reason. Everybody deserves the basic right to live, to make a mistake, to be as large and as black as they were born. It was not George Floyd's fault that he looked intimidating. Society made that perspective. Society needs to be radicalized to not view certain characteristics in certain races as inherently dangerous, because that creates a danger for that person. If you think someone's wild and violent, of course you're going to take your gun out and shoot first and think second. You are scared. A lot of police officers, especially in America, are scared. A lot of white people around the world are scared. They're scared, and they scared themselves. The systems that were put in place for the benefit of them have backfired, and now they live in fear, which ends up being non-white people's death at times, a lot of times. George Floyd is not the only person that has been murdered in such brutal ways. I hope you check out my next video, part 13, that explains some of the emotions and feelings that I currently have post radicalization. And what does that mean? What happens after? Okay? When you realize, oh, I've changed and I'm never gonna be the same, what do you do with that? I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Stay cute. Bye.